is enough. He has told friends he will strip Meghan Markle of the HRH title.
What if the royal family's most rebellious couple just got checkmated by the very system they tried to outsmart?
King Charles is turning a blind eye, but King William won't.
What if the royal family's most rebellious couple just got checkmated by the very system they tried to outsmart?
I did think it would happen. If Harry and Meghan are watching, they should be incredibly concerned, because if it's this simple to take away Prince Andrew's titles, one day it could be this easy to take away Harry and Meghan's titles.
Because right now something historic is brewing in London. Something so unprecedented even Buckingham Palace is holding its breath.
But wanting to exploit their royal titles, I think it stinks. Let them go off and be, celebrities, that's fine. But don't do it in the name of our royal family.
For years, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have treated royal duty like a Netflix plot twist. Dramatic when it sells, forgotten when it doesn't. They traded tiaras for talk shows, tradition for Hollywood glitz, and loyalty for production deals.
Prince Harry, Meghan Markle and their children could be set to lose their royal titles.
But it seems the spotlight they fought for has finally turned into a burning interrogation lamp. According to insiders, the UK Parliament isn't just gossiping about the Sussexes anymore. It's moving.
Prince William has in the past fortnight seized control of the British monarchy from a weak and dying King Charles, and that spells very bad news for Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie and Lily.
Real lawmakers, real legislation, and a very real threat to erase the royal titles that keep the Duke and Duchess brand alive. And the irony, this time, it's not the crown coming for them, it's democracy itself.
So trust me, Harry and Meghan right now should be very afraid, because it is a matter of when, not if.
For a couple who once shouted about wanting freedom, this might just be the priciest version of it yet. No more palace privileges. No royal protection. No fancy titles or curtsies. Just Meghan and Harry, two ex-royals living under the California sun, clutching onto a crown that's starting to slip through their fingers. And ladies, here's where it gets brutal. Because this time, it isn't King Charles pulling the strings. Oh no. It's Parliament, the same institution that once bowed to the crown, now stepping in to do what the king won't. They are drawing the line. And when Parliament draws a line, it's carved in stone. The whispers in London are louder than ever. This isn't a question of if they'll lose their titles, it's when. And when that moment comes, there's no going back to the palace gates. No more Your Grace, no more royal safety net, just the cold reality of being famous, but not royal.
Terrible news for Harry and Meghan here is that William can now take away everything, their titles, without an act of Parliament.
Imagine waking up one morning to the kind of headline that makes you spill your morning tea. The most powerful monarchy in the world, outplayed by its own Parliament. Yes, you heard that right. Britain's lawmakers, the very people who used to bow before the crown, are now quietly plotting the unthinkable, to strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal titles. And here's the twist that has royal insiders whispering they might not even need King Charles's blessing to do it. For centuries, Parliament wouldn't dare meddle with royal privilege. That world was sacred, untouchable, wrapped in centuries of tradition and silence. But not anymore. The patience of the establishment has finally snapped, and it shattered as easily as fine china in the middle of a scandal. Behind those grand ceilings at Westminster, something has shifted. What used to be quiet loyalty has turned into quiet determination. And this time, it's not about protecting the monarchy, it's about protecting its dignity.
The HRH is only given to working royals, senior members of the royal family, because it denotes a level of respect in the public, and also it's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit, they do not use their names to make money. It's an honour to have an HRH.
What started as hushed whispers in the shadowy corridors of Westminster has now turned into an open conversation, and not a polite one. The question being asked out loud is the kind that shakes royal walls. If you use your titles for profit while tearing down the very institution that gave them to you, why should you keep them? And that's the real twist, isn't it? This isn't some palace spat or family feud anymore. This is constitutional revenge, wrapped up neatly in parliamentary paperwork. Behind the polished smiles and respectful debates, a growing number of MPs are quietly sharpening their pens, pushing forward a reform bill that could finally separate royal titles from those who treat them like luxury logos. To this new faction, it's not about punishing Harry and Meghan personally. It's about protecting the monarchy from becoming a Netflix brand. The survival of the crown, they argue, depends on drawing the line, and Harry and Meghan are standing right on top of it. But here's where things get even juicier, because the most shocking part isn't the Parliament's boldness. It's who inside the palace may be secretly cheering them on. Those whispers? They have royal fingerprints all over them. The road to this moment wasn't built overnight. Oh no, it's been a 4-year roller coaster paved with chaos, headlines, and heartbreak. What started as a fairy tale, the dashing prince and the Hollywood beauty, slowly unraveled into a global soap opera. One explosive interview here, a tell-all memoir there, and suddenly the world was binge-watching the monarchy's dirty laundry in 4K. Every time the dust settled, somehow, another fire started. From claims of emotional neglect to criticism of royal traditions, Harry and Meghan's story began to sound less like breaking free and more like taking control. And even after fleeing what they called the suffocating life of royalty, somehow every documentary, podcast, and business deal kept circling back to the same thing, the royal name they claimed to leave behind. Meanwhile, over in Westminster, patience turned to frustration, and frustration to exhaustion. Lawmakers, many of them lifelong monarchists, watched in disbelief as centuries of royal dignity turned into late-night punchlines. And for them, the breaking point wasn't just scandal fatigue. It was national embarrassment.
Prince William knows that it's not just Andrew and Sarah need to be dealt with. It's Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lily too.
For many inside government, the monarchy isn't just tradition, it's identity. It's the thread that ties Britain's past to its present. But when Harry and Meghan turned royal duty into what many now call the Sussex Circus, that thread started to fray. To them, the titles became more slogan than symbol, and the monarchy suddenly looked fragile, mocked, marketed, and Monetized. So when whispers began about stripping those titles, it wasn't out of pettiness. It was about damage control. The crown's image had been stretched to breaking point, and Parliament decided someone had to step in before it snapped completely. But while the politicians plot their moves in public, something far more intriguing is said to be unfolding in private, behind those guarded palace walls. And the quietest, most strategic player on that royal chessboard? Prince William himself. Forget the polite smiles, the crisp suits, and that calm future king composure. Insiders say that beneath it all, William has had enough. Years of watching his family's name turned into clickbait headlines and talk show jokes have left him, reportedly, with little patience to spare. Unlike his father, who still dreams of reconciliation, William is said to be approaching this like a mission. A mission to restore what's been lost, the dignity, the unity, the power of the crown. And here's the part that has tongues wagging in Westminster. He's not working through courtiers or palace staff. He's quietly building relationships with lawmakers, the very people now preparing to redraw the royal rulebook. Private dinners, discreet phone calls, strategic silences that say more than words ever could. The future king, it seems, knows exactly how to move without leaving fingerprints. And for William, this isn't about revenge. Not anymore. It's about restoration. It's about making sure that when his time comes, the crown he inherits still means something.
Like, Meghan, you have a very privileged life.
Yeah.
We all get it. You're beautiful. You married a prince, but that's literally all you've done to when it comes to your accomplishments.
Right.
Every time Harry steps into the spotlight with yet another revelation, another truth, the image of a steady future king takes a hit. And while William keeps his trademark composure, calm, controlled, regal, insiders say behind that cool exterior is a man with a plan. This isn't just about public image. It's about cleaning the slate, removing distractions, and rebuilding the monarchy's credibility before it's his turn to wear the crown. But make no mistake, there's a darker edge to this mission. Some say it's deeply personal. After years of betrayal, private messages laid bare, and family moments turned into profit, even the most forgiving heart can harden. And perhaps this bill, this move to strip the Sussex titles, is William's way of ensuring those old wounds never define his reign. If Parliament moves forward, it won't just be a legal decision. It'll be William's quiet victory. For Meghan Markle, however, this is more than a royal scandal, it's a brand crisis. Every photo shoot, every deal, every glossy headline has revolved around 4 powerful words, the Duchess of Sussex. It's not just a title. It's her identity. Her calling card. Her magic. Take that away, and the brand that once sold elegance and empowerment starts to lose its sparkle. Behind the gates of Montecito, the whispers say panic has set in. Meetings upon meetings, lawyers, PR strategists, brand consultants, all trying to rewrite the narrative before the headlines do it for her. Because without Duchess, the carefully crafted illusion of being both relatable and royal starts to crumble. The mystery fades, the magic dims, and all that's left is Meghan. And that, as one insider put it bluntly, doesn't sell the same way. She built a billion-dollar persona on the image of modern royalty, regal but rebellious, polished yet relatable. But without the title, the foundation begins to shake. Deals tied to her royal identity could collapse overnight. Projects that once sparkled with royal prestige may suddenly seem ordinary. Even her humanitarian work, the part of her brand meant to outshine the monarchy, now risks losing its glow without that royal halo. To her critics, it's poetic justice. To her fans, it's an unfair witch hunt. But to Meghan herself, it's an existential crisis. For the first time, her crown isn't just slipping, it's being taken. And then there's Harry. Behind the polished PR smiles and the reassuring words, insiders describe a man in quiet panic. The prince who once claimed freedom now faces the possibility of losing the very thing that gave him meaning in that freedom, his title. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, wasn't just a name. It was his identity, his leverage, his global relevance. Without it, he's just another celebrity with royal baggage, and in Hollywood, that shine fades fast. Sources say he's been making personal calls, not through aides or PR teams, but directly. Reaching out to old palace contacts, even trying to get messages to his father. One insider described him as emotionally cornered, realizing that without the title, the book deals, the interviews, the global spotlight, they all dim. And perhaps for the first time, Harry is discovering what true freedom costs.
Harry found out at the same moment as the public, and his reaction was instant dread. His stomach dropped. He thought titles were untouchable. Now he's not so sure.
What's haunting Harry the most, according to those closest to him, isn't the fame, the money, or even the headlines. It's the symbolism. Losing the title doesn't just mean losing a status, it means losing the last living link to his mother's legacy, to Diana's memory, to the institution that shaped and scarred his entire life. And for Harry, that's a pain too deep to joke about. Friends say he's torn in two. On one side, anger, for being punished simply for speaking his truth. On the other, guilt, for maybe, just maybe, taking things too far. But here's the tragedy, the calls from California might already be too late. Parliament isn't a family therapist. It doesn't respond to tears or nostalgia. While Harry pleads for understanding, lawmakers are preparing to make history. And the ripple effect won't stop with him. It could reach his children next. While Harry and Meghan fight to keep their own titles, another, more delicate question is echoing through London's corridors. What happens to their children? Archie and Lilibet may be too young to understand royal politics, but their futures are suddenly tangled in it. If Parliament moves forward with this reform, the little prince and princess could lose their royal standing before they're even old enough to spell the word royal. Traditionally, titles pass through bloodlines, sacred, untouchable, forever. But this new proposal dares to challenge that very idea. Some lawmakers argue that royal privilege should belong only to those who serve the crown, not those who profit from it. And with the Sussexes living full-time in California, critics say Archie and Lilibet's titles have become symbolic, more brand than birthright. It's a heartbreaking irony, isn't it? Harry once said he left the UK to protect his children from the pressures of palace life. Yet now, that very decision could erase their royal legacy altogether. And for Meghan, that's reportedly the most painful part of all. Behind the smiles and the sunlit family photos, insiders say the thought of her children losing their titles, their connection to history, feels like the ultimate punishment. Not for what they did, but for who they were born to. Because in the end, this isn't just a story about titles or politics. It's about love, legacy, and the price of walking away.
Harry and Meghan take their audience for fools. They blame everybody but themselves. They present even the most incendiary of claims with no evidence. And sadly, the impact is real. The royal family is getting damaged. The monarchy is getting tarnished.
Behind the palace gates, even the most sympathetic royals are said to be uneasy. There's a difference between disciplining a duke and punishing his children, and stripping Archie and Lilibet of their titles crosses an invisible line. It blurs where family ends and the institution begins. But make no mistake, if Parliament goes through with it, their names could vanish from the royal website overnight. And that's the moment this family feud becomes royal history. Inside the corridors of Westminster, the whispers have turned into strategy sessions. The phrase floating around government briefings? The one bill solution. A single, sweeping act of legislation that could reset the monarchy's framework in one decisive strike. And right at the top of that list, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Unlike royal protocol, which moves at the pace of ceremony and centuries, this is politics, fast, ruthless, and irreversible once it's set in motion. Insiders describe the proposed bill as a kind of constitutional spring cleaning, a bold attempt to modernize the monarchy's privileges and, frankly, sweep out the royal freeloaders. And it doesn't stop with Harry and Meghan. Reports suggest the reform could reclassify several royals whose titles no longer align with service or national duty. Supporters are calling it accountability. Critics? They call it sacrilege. But to the lawmakers driving it forward, this isn't about cruelty, it's about preservation. It's about protecting the crown from itself. Because if the monarchy wants to survive another century, it must prove that even royal blood isn't above responsibility. And perhaps the most extraordinary part of all, the palace might not even be able to stop it. For the first time in modern history, Parliament could overrule royal hesitation entirely. And once that line is crossed, there's no going back. The very definition of royalty, who deserves it, who earns it, who keeps it, could change forever.
Queen's husband was dying, and she went on Oprah and suggested one or both of them are raging racists. She couldn't have cared less. She doesn't care about anyone other than herself.
This isn't just a bill anymore. It's a message. A declaration, really, that the monarchy serves the nation, not the other way around. And when you learn who's been quietly championing this reform from the shadows, it starts to feel less like a debate and more like a done deal. For King Charles, this moment is pure torment. On one side stands the crown, the institution he's devoted his entire life to protecting, now facing its biggest image crisis in decades. On the other stands his son, the boy who once clung to him at Diana's funeral, now the man accused of dismantling that very legacy with every headline, interview, and confession. The weight of that contradiction is said to be breaking him from the inside out. Sources close to the palace describe a monarch torn between emotion and duty. Charles reportedly fears that taking a hard stance will make him look cold, the heartless king punishing his own son and daughter-in-law. A story the tabloids would devour. But doing nothing? That would hand Parliament the power to define royal authority for the first time in modern history. And for a man who spent his life defending the dignity of the crown, that thought is unthinkable. Behind the palace walls, the tension is unbearable. Late-night meetings. Divided advisers. Some urge patience, hoping the storm will pass. Others whisper that the time for mercy has ended. Every option feels like a trap, every decision a loss. Charles stands at a crossroads, defend the family or defend the throne. But in this moment, perhaps he knows the cruelest truth of all. No matter what he chooses, he loses something. Because whether Parliament acts or not, whether titles are stripped or saved, the monarchy's future, and his relationship with Harry, will never be the same again.
Thanks to this historic decision by William, and listen to me, it was by William, not Charles, to strip Andrew of his princely titles and all vestiges of royal privilege.
But as King Charles hesitates, the machinery of reform keeps turning. Slow, deliberate, unstoppable. And just like that, the story of Harry and Meghan may be closing its final royal chapter. From wedding bells that echoed through Windsor to lawsuits, interviews, and now Parliament itself, their journey has drifted from fairy tale to cautionary tale. What began as a bold act of independence, two people breaking free from royal duty, has now turned into something much darker. A public reckoning. If Parliament follows through, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex could soon be titles of the past, archived, deleted, reduced to a quiet footnote in Britain's long royal story. It's almost poetic, isn't it? The couple who fought for freedom may finally get it in full, but not the way they imagined. No royal shield. No official rank. Just Harry and Meghan, facing the world on their own. Two people who once walked through palace gates now walking through history as outsiders. And perhaps, for the monarchy, this is the reset it's been waiting for. A painful one, but necessary. Because behind those grand walls, survival has always meant sacrifice. But don't think the royal storm ends here. Oh no, while Harry and Meghan face their reckoning, another royal pair is feeling the heat. In our next deep dive, we uncover the shocking reality behind Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, a story of power, downfall, and the price of silence. So grab your cup of tea, because this next chapter might just change how you see the royals forever. I'm your host, and this is New Things, where truth meets tradition and every whisper finds its light. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on that bell, and tell me in the comments, do you think the titles should be taken away? Or has this family already lost too much? Because one thing's for sure, the palace walls may be silent, but they're still whispering. But as King Charles hesitates, the wheels of reform keep turning, quiet, steady, unstoppable. And just like that, the story of Harry and Meghan drifts toward its final royal chapter. Once upon a time, their love story promised to rewrite the monarchy, a fresh start, a modern dream. But somewhere between the wedding bells and the world stage, that dream unraveled. What began as a fairytale escape became a public reckoning, and now Parliament may close the book entirely. If this reform passes, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex might soon be only names of the past, erased from official pages, remembered only in whispers and headlines. It's bittersweet, isn't it? The freedom they fought so hard for might finally arrive, but not as triumph. As loss. No royal title.